Man, I already need to buy a new microphone. Sometimes you just have to give the people what they want. And what we want is to call the fakes out, the liars, the bullshitters, the men that have been manipulated by Gypsy Rose Manson. While this audio plays, there's going to be pictures of all these men that Gypsy has manipulated and continues to manipulate. I'm going to have to get creative, but once you hear the words, you'll know who this is. I'll try to get a commentary video up tomorrow. And to be honest, the last one didn't do so well, but I think that's because it's buried beneath all those prison phone calls. I'll link it in the description. It's about Gypsy and maturity. Enjoy and shh.
I actually have no idea where we're going with this, but
I don't either. That's why I was like, I wanted to hop on a call with you because I'm like, what is this about?
You really can't mistake that voice. Gypsy Rose Blanchard somehow became the most beloved convicted murderer in America. Half of the country loves her. The other half never forgave her. Maybe you've watched the HBO documentary Mommy, Dad, and Dearest?
Looking at the open ocean now, and it's beautiful.
Gypsy was in a wheelchair. She had leukemia, she was having seizures, and she had to be tube fed.
And then gradually that story fell apart.
Things are not always as they appear.
Or maybe you discovered her story from the Hulu series The Act.
It's my best friend. All she wants to do is keep me safe.
Gypsy!
Or you could have binged her reality TV show on Lifetime.
I don't want people to look at you like, this is Gypsy Rose. She's famous for
I don't
killing
either.
her mother. You shouldn't be famous for something like that.
Exactly. I hate that F word, famous.
Chances are you just kept seeing her face pop up on your For You page.
I went to prison for 8.5 years because I my own mom.
Oh my God.
Or maybe you've been living under a rock and don't know who the heck I'm talking about. So here's the short version. Gypsy Rose Blanchard spent 23 years in a wheelchair, hooked up to a feeding tube, breathing machine, had her teeth yanked out, put under for surgeries that she never needed, told she had cancer, muscular dystrophy, epilepsy, leukemia, you name it. Turns out that was the cure, because when police found her, she had walked out of the house on her own, and all those health issues, poof, they were gone.
I've been incarcerated for 8.5 years. I will be released on Thursday.
In December of 2023, Gypsy Rose Blanchard walked out of a Missouri prison after serving less than 10 years for the murder of her mother. And America lost its mind. People were curious, like genuinely curious. Her TikTok and social media accounts blew up millions of followers just within days of her release. So yeah, America's sweetheart is also a convicted murderer. And depending on who you ask, she's either the most sympathetic person alive or the most dangerous woman on the internet.
You know Gypsy Rose Blanchard, right?
Yeah.
Okay, it's all a lie.
What do you mean what purpose a lie?
The fact that her mom did all that to her and like made her get these surgeries and like all of it, it was just a defense, but it's all a lie.
How long do you guys think it'll take for everyone to turn on Gypsy Rose Blanchard? Because you guys love her right now. Like, that's your slay queen.
Have you guys seen all the backlash? You should have kept her locked up. No shit. Y'all were the ones that tried to make her famous for ending her mother's life.
Someone else is going to do something horrible, and their excuse is going to be, well, she got away with it. Well, now look at all the money that she's making off of it.
The official story, the one that the media told us, is that Gypsy Rose Blanchard is a survivor, a victim of one of the most extreme cases of medical child abuse this country has ever seen. Gypsy says that she underwent approximately 30 different medical procedures forced upon her by her mother, Dee Dee Blanchard. Pick a disease, any disease. Chances are that Dee Dee told a doctor the Gypsy had it. Rare diseases like chronic conditions, terminal diagnosis. By the time Gypsy was 8 years old, her mother had checked nearly every box on that list, and the doctors believed it. Because why wouldn't they? She showed up with a bald kid in a wheelchair who couldn't walk, couldn't eat, could barely function without her mother right there. And I've combed through Gypsy's medical records, which were posted publicly on a true crime content creator's Patreon page. Her mother, Dee Dee, claimed that Gypsy had already been through 4 eye surgeries to correct a crossed eye that kept coming back. A feeding tube inserted directly into her stomach because Dee Dee said that Gypsy couldn't swallow properly. Procedure to remove her saliva glands in her neck because Dee Dee said that Gypsy drooled too much. And a surgery where surgeons literally wrap part of your stomach around your esophagus to stop acid reflux. All of this on a little kid. The medication list and these same records run over a page. Anti-seizure drugs that she's been on since she was 3 months old. Valium for pain delivered through her feeding tube. Asthma inhalers, steroids, allergy medications. And then there's this one. Someone documented in her allergy list that Gypsy had an anaphylactic reaction to processed sugar. Anaphylactic reaction to processed sugar, as in sugar, the thing that's in basically every food on Earth. A life-threatening allergic reaction to sugar is not a real medical condition. It doesn't exist. But somehow, it made it into her medical chart because DD said so. And nobody questioned it. And the teeth. By the time Gypsy was a teenager, her teeth had rotted out and had to be removed. A young girl wearing false teeth, fighting around with a shaved head in a wheelchair. That's the official story. But an entire community online decided that that was a lie. They flipped the whole narrative around. Suddenly, it was Gypsy who was a manipulator. Gypsy who fooled the doctors. Gypsy who used her voice, her looks, her tears to con everyone around her, including her mother. And let me tell you, this community is not small. They're very loud. I've spent the last few months trying to figure out which side was telling the truth. And spoiler alert, it's a lot more complicated than either side wants to admit.
This is Sullen Beauty, and you are listening to my version of the Gypsy Rose Obession, Part 1.
I was completely oblivious to the outcry against Gypsy Rose Blanchard. To me, I've always considered her a victim of Munchausen by proxy. That poor girl. I can't even imagine what her childhood was like. I mean, I didn't agree with her decision to murder her mother because no one deserves to be murdered. But I can't imagine why she resorted to violence. I just assumed everyone felt that way about her. But boy, was I wrong.
Hello, it's Andrew Dunlop, and today on Me, we have a very special episode that is a full circle moment for me, my conversation with Gypsy Rose Blanchard.
Andrea Dunlop released a 2-part interview with Gypsy on her podcast.
Yeah, we're not doing any advertisement for the pro-Gypsy people. This is not that.
I remember a lot of people asking me, are you going to interview her? Like, why hasn't she been on your show?
Honestly, I couldn't believe that it took 7 seasons for Andrea to interview Gypsy, because Gypsy Rose Blanchard put Munchausen by proxy on the map. I didn't even know Munchausen by proxy was a thing until I heard about Gypsy's case.
Gypsy's case has brought a lot of awareness. I think that she is actually a very articulate representative of it and is very thoughtful in the way that she sort of explains it and explains her healing process and the after effects.
When people think about medical child abuse, they think of Gypsy Rose Blanchard. She's the poster child.
This should not be on Gypsy's shoulder. She is a person. We should not put the onus on one person to be a representative or an advocate for that form of abuse just because they've experienced it.
You know, I was curious about Andrea's interview with Gypsy, so I listened. And then I started reading the comments, and oh boy, I could not believe the backlash. Let me read some of these comments to you. Are you kidding me? You call yourself an advocate, but decide to bring a murderer on your podcast? I can't sit by as we make martyrs out of murderers. As a longtime listener, I'm extremely disappointed by the lack of real research on Gypsy Rose Blanchard. Andrea, all your credibility has done shot out the window. You just ruined your career by not doing your research. She lied about everything. Hundreds of comments just like this. This was my first exposure to the anti-Gypsy community. So I started going down that rabbit hole. What research were these people talking about? What were Andrea and I missing from this conversation? And before I knew it, I found myself in the deep end.
Every single thing you've ever heard out of their mouths about this is a lie. Okay, so for all these years, we've been told this story of just massive abuse. She didn't need any of the things that were done to her. She has no long-lasting effects, all of that, correct?
Right.
That's a lie. That's all a lie.
Suddenly, I started seeing some questionable things online and asking myself the same questions. Inconsistencies in her stories, home videos that nobody was supposed to see, a version of Gypsy Rose Blanchard that looked nothing like the girl that I thought I knew. It was enough for me to pump the brakes. Did we all get the Gypsy story wrong? Was everything I knew about this case a lie? So I had to go straight to the source, Gypsy Rose Blanchard. Gypsy and I exchanged a few emails, and within a few hours, I'm not kidding, we were on a call. I was unprepared for this conversation, and it took place very early on in my research. I have to be honest, I thought she was lovely. All I know about you is the HBO doc, right? And so I was like, I had no idea that there was this like other world. Like you're living in it, but I had no idea, you know. Oh,
It's insane. It's called the Gypverse.
Oh, like the verse, like the Marvel, yeah, like
Yes, like the Marvel verse. So it's two communities, and one is pro Gypsy and one is anti Gypsy.
Which one's louder?
I mean, I would say that the anti-Gypsy side is probably the loudest, and I think that goes for any sort of hater community. So a lot of times, if someone posts a video in support or just having a neutral opinion. You can't even have a neutral opinion about me because you will get death threats.
You're walking into the crosshairs.
Yes, you're walking into literally a war zone between these two communities.
And without even knowing it, right?
Because
like if you're if you're in the pro Gypsy verse, you're sympathetic to like the abuse the dude face and all that stuff, and like it would never even cross your mind that there's this other universe that will just pounce on you.
Right.
The internet did what the internet does. Her nose was too big.
Gypsy Rose has been spotted for the first time since her nose job. And it turns out she didn't just get a nose job.
And her teeth, the same teeth that her mother had yanked out when she was a kid, became content too.
I'm going to Children's Mercy Hospital to see my dentist for my teeth.
She came and post pictures with her in a swimsuit without getting comments.
Gypsy Rose is up early around 6:30 a.m. this morning posting herself in a two-piece bikini.
Content creators mocked her voice.
Hey babe, can you do your Gypsy Rose impression for me?
The D is fire!
To kiss the frog to meet the prince. I'm on a high right now. He can't bring me down. Right now, he is eating a brownie. And later, he will be eating me.
In fact, people impersonating her became a trend on TikTok.
Can't bring me down. I'm on a high right now. I'm living my best life and y'all can't take that from me.
I was wearing a wig in a lot of my videos because last year and the year before that, like I bleached my hair so much because I was so excited to try new things with my hair that I didn't, realize that bleaching was going to fry it as bad as it was. So unfortunately, my hair was down to almost to my butt when I got out of prison and I had to shave it all off. And, the anti side was like, well, wouldn't that be a trigger for you? And the logical side of me is, of course, wanting to defend myself and being like, do you want to walk around with fried hair? It's kind of a necessity. So I used a wig for a couple of months and I'm just starting to kind of like be okay with this being my authentic self.
For those of you listening on the podcast feed, Gypsy is sporting a pixie cut. More mature,
Yeah.
So how old are you now? I know you're not supposed to ask a woman.
I'm 35.
Okay.
I'm getting old.
You're not supposed to ask a woman that, but I was curious. A lot has changed since being released from prison 2 years ago. She's been married, then she got divorced, and now she's a mother. She has this whole new life, and her only career really is being Gypsy Rose. One of the main criticisms against her is that she figured out a way to monetize and profit off of her mother's murder. She has a Cameo account, a book deal, multiple TV shows. Gypsy is everywhere. And if you ask the internet, they will tell you that Gypsy is rich. It's so much easier to just hide and make it go away. You know what I mean? Do you ever think about that?
I've tried, and I've tried getting offline, deleting my social media. When I first came out of prison, I gained millions of followers on my TikTok and Instagram. Well, in the process of me, going through my parole time, there was just so much harassment on my parole officer that he said, it'd probably be best to, maybe get off of social media. So I deleted my Instagram with like 9 million followers. So I made a new Instagram, quickly gained a lot of followers on that, approaching 1 million now, and I still maintain my 9.3 mil on TikTok. And I've had a love-hate relationship with this account. I've deactivated and reactivated. At this point, my followers just know it's part of my behavior. But when at a time where I was not on social media for like a month.
It turns out that deleting your account doesn't really make you anonymous when your face has been on every screen in America. You have a very distinctive voice. Do you ever get like spotted or like how do you deal with that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, thankfully, nobody in person has ever came up to me or my family and been mean in any type of way. In fact, it's the opposite reaction. It's like, oh my God, there's like selfie. Like, and what's crazy is, and I don't understand it, but a lot of my fans are, 95% is women. 5% are male. And that's even from analytics from my socials. But like teens, some as even young as 10 will stop me at the mall or the grocery store. And I'm kind of like, are you old enough to, what is your parents letting you watch?
But isn't that kind of weird though? Like that you have, like just the fact that you have fans.
Isn't that kind of
weird? What are they a fan of? I'm just saying, like, you're not a performer, you know what I mean? Like, you're not a singer, right?
Exactly. And I thought that to myself too. I mean, I've always kind of just been appreciative that they've been nice, but even I don't really understand it because yes, I can understand, watching my story and feeling, a compassion, but a fandom, I don't get. And maybe it's a social media thing. Oh my goodness, this girl has, almost 10 million followers. I don't know. I don't.
I think the answer is a lot simpler. It's just this parasocial relationship, right? You don't know them, but they know you. And maybe they are sympathetic to your story. And so it's like, hey, you're famous. You know what I mean? Like, and so
Infamous, I guess. Because I never call myself famous. I don't call myself a celebrity. I call myself like well known. If I'm addressing it, I'll say I am well known in the public eye. Because that's the facts of it. You get the recognition, you get media coverage, you have the following. What is that? You know what I'm saying? You're well known in the public. And with that comes a lot of responsibilities and burdens too.
After the break, anti-Gypsy protesters take to the streets of New Orleans and blast Gypsy and her Charmed. That's after the break.
The anti-Gypsy side formalized a hate campaign against me and was raising money, fundraisers, GoFundMe, to put up billboard signs in my neighborhood, in the city that I live.
Here's a clip of an anti-Gypsy activist putting up wanted-style posters around town.
If you dislike schmurderers, send Tammy a gift. If you are here for some street justice, since the criminal justice system failed us, send Tammy some gifts.
And even after I got off of parole, the day that I got off of parole, I wanted to celebrate with some friends of mine. So we were like, we're going to go to New Orleans. We're going to have a drink. We're going to have a good time. So the anti-side was busy for 2 days straight, putting up flyers at all bars, a murderer's in town, warning. This is pathetic.
Gypsy don't give a fuck. Gypsy don't give a fuck. Now what? Oh, y'all wasted y'all
money. Fuck you guys, because I had a great time in New Orleans. Anyway. And then me and my friends are driving. We come across a mobile billboard, and they have a picture of me and my daughter and my partner from when my daughter was born. And I flipped out.
Louisiana mobile billboards, they put minors on billboards.
My minor child. Minor child. Hindsight, I should not have even looked at it. I should have just let it be. But instead, I got out of the car and I went on live stream and I was flipping the haters off and just reacting to it. I'm like, this is my minor child. Like, my minor child should not be up on a billboard, especially when I'm not plastering her on social media.
Gypsy Rose's baby's face has now been revealed. And I probably really shouldn't because it's a baby, but everybody's going to see it anyway because it's out there. So here's the picture.
Well, it feels like crossing the line, right? Like, it's one thing to have issues with you and you've chosen to be public and whatever, blah, 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 but to, like, bring the kid, I just felt like, yeah, now you're crossing a line. Gypsy told me that she doesn't have a safe space, not even her home.
Every single residence since I've been out of prison has been doxxed on the internet. There's currently a video of my house where somebody drove by my house and recorded it. And it's like, this is where they live. I'm an average person. I'll go to Walmart. I'll go to the grocery store, get what I need, drive back home and not think two things about it. Obviously, someone must have followed me to know the street.
Right. That's so scary. These people are obsessed with her, and not in a good way. Her critics say that Gypsy didn't serve enough time, that she got away with murder while the man who actually did the stabbing, Nick Kodajan, is sitting in a Missouri prison serving life without parole. His appeals so far have been unsuccessful. Barring some kind of miracle, Nick will die in prison, and Gypsy is out there living her life. To a lot of people, that math does not add up. I have to say, I'm fascinated by Gypsy Rose Blanchard. She's one of the most complicated people I've ever reported on. But I'm not interested in doing another story about a fandom gone wrong. What caught my attention was the evidence, the videos, text messages, documents that have surfaced since the HBO documentary. Things that paint a very different picture of Gypsy Rose Blanchard.
Fuck you! Go back to your bimbo blonde whore!
It is your sexy slave, Demona.
I can steal, I can torture, I could kill, just not those people.
Gypsy Rose talking about how she plans to SA her own daughter when she turns 13.
If we have a girl, the way it has to be is if we have a girl, she has to lose her virginity to you because you are the master of the household.
Now, before you go spiral, let me give you some context. These clips were recorded years ago before Gypsy ever had a daughter. What you're hearing is a roleplay game that Gypsy and Nick Kodajan played online. In this game, Gypsy played a character named Demona, a vampire slave, and Nick played her master. And in that fictional world, they said some very dark things, violent things, sexual things, things that, ripped out of context and posted on TikTok, sound like a confession. In context, they raise a whole different set of questions about the dynamics between Gypsy and Nick, and who's really in control of that relationship. That's the conversation we are going to have, in detail, not just in this episode. But one thing's for sure, I can't do this series without Gypsy. She's talked about her story plenty, but, as far as I know, she has never publicly addressed the Demona videos. The home videos, the text messages, none of it. At least not in front of a reporter, until now. Once I start doing research, because I haven't even started, once I dive into the hellish waters of your haters, how comfortable are you with uncomfortable questions and stuff like that? I'm pretty
open. Everybody has always known that I'm a pretty open book.
Remember, you're listening to my pre-interview with Gypsy. It's just a get-to-know-you session to see if she was even interested. So, if we were to do this, because like you said, I think maybe the story is that the people that know you, in the Gypsyverse, they know about this, and then obviously the haters know about you as well, if not more, because they won't let it go, right? This is years and years and years, and it seems like every time you make some sort of public opinion or video or appearance, they jump on it. But the outside world has no idea. So I really do think that that's the story. Your whole childhood was robbed from you, and then now all of a sudden you're an adult and you have to figure out who is Gypsy Rose Blanchard. You know what I mean? And do you know who you are at this point?
I'm learning. I'm learning a lot as with every new experience, because I think that that's how we grow, is just experiencing things. So I think that I've gotten to where I'm comfortable.
Yeah, but I mean, going back to the uncomfortable questions and stuff like that. Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that there's anything that I
could find that you haven't seen
exactly.
Yeah.
I've had some tough ones come at me.
That's what I figured. That's what I figured. But I was thinking, if you're up for it, I'm willing to travel down there for a weekend and maybe hang out for a day and do the interview in person. Would you be game for that?
I'd be down for that.
I fly to Louisiana to meet Gypsy Rose Blanchard in person. I sat with her for almost 3 hours and she answered every single question I threw at her. This is going to be a long one, guys. I don't know how many episodes yet, but get ready because I conducted dozens of interviews, and we are also going to cover a recent discovery about Gypsy's health that puts everything in question. One of Gypsy's critics filed a public records request with the Missouri Department of Corrections and got a hold of 8 years worth of prison calls. And I'm going to play one of them for you right now. This is a prison call between Gypsy and her dad, Rod Blanchard, strategizing on how to make the biggest splash with her murder case.
If I do any other television appearances, that they're going to throw the HBO documentary off the table. So I'm I got to wait till that comes out first, then I can do other stuff.
Right, definitely.
Yeah, and right now
they're slowly releasing one call at a time. It's a daily trickle, and some of these calls are explosive. Most of them are gossipy, but some of them give you this unfiltered view into Gypsy's mind and how she talks about the case when the reporter's not looking. Now, I've written the Missouri Department of Corrections asking them about the legalities of releasing such calls. After all, I've tried to obtain prison calls in the past for this show, and while these calls aren't meant to be private, they're not generally available for public record unless they're part of a court case. And these calls were recorded largely after Gypsy's plea deal. So here's what I'm going to do. Because these prison calls were released after my first 3 episodes were finished, I will include relevant snippets of these calls at the end of the first 3 episodes. And I will weave some of these calls in throughout episode 4 and beyond. But here's what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to play anything embarrassing for the sake of embarrassing Gypsy. Some of these calls include sexual content that was not meant to be shared. And I know, they knew that these calls were being recorded. So how could they be so stupid? I don't get it either. But as a journalist, I have to respect the privacy of individuals on the other end of the call. Some of what they're saying is personal, and these people are not public figures. And I would caution any other content creator to do the same. Oof, this story just got a whole lot trickier to produce. Let's roll the credits.
Well, I guess he just didn't try hard enough to get these prison phone calls that he claims he tried for in other cases or other things that he's covered. Honest opinions only for the comment section. And this was like a 48-minute episode. Imagine if I would have removed the clips from other creators, we wouldn't have even had 20 minutes.